even woodchucks, all talking at him a fair lick, and he listened to their chatter as he did every day, wishing he could understand what it was all about. That day, a small brown sparrow with quick black eyes hopped with great daring closer than the rest, scolding them and chasing them away, as if wanting to keep Stig to itself. Or rather, herself, Stig saw, for the sparrow did not wear the male's neat black bib. Stig scattered a few pieces of the oatcake before her, watched her take them into her beak and break them up, showering surplus crumbs right and left for the rest to scramble for. When she edged forward a mite nearer, her head to one side, Stig laughed delightedly. "Are you asking for more? If so, here it is." He crumbled more of the oat flakes and scattered them a little closer in than before. The sparrow hopped nearer and nearer, eyeing him keenly. Then, dipping down and snatching up a beakful, she flew this time up into the trees to eat it out of range. The other birds, catching the flirt of her wings, all started up after her, and the squirrels followed after, leaving the glade bare. Stig was not offended. He knew his friends had to be careful and trust no one. Rather, he admired their wisdom. He stood up, threw down the last of the crumbs. "If only I were as careful in my affairs," he called to them, "I'd be a richer man." But he wasn't really serious. If the folk down in Clack took a little advantage of him, and cheated him in their weekly bartering, he didn't take it ill. He had enough food to eat, and wood for warmth, and if his clothes were a bit threadbare, what mattered that on the mountain with no one to see him? Not that their cheating amounted to much. On the whole, the townsfolk were kind to him. He'd gotten many a hand-me-down suit from friendly wives who'd sewn their husbands' new ones. One wife had even given him an old patchwork quilt. Patchwork quilts made from scraps of worn-out clothing were a specialty of the thrifty townswomen. Along with these kind gifts, he'd also gotten a deal of advice that sometimes bordered on nagging. "You should get married," the wives told him, just about every time he went down into the town. "Have someone to keep you company, to cook for you and wash for you, and keep your house clean." But for all the nagging, Stig knew he was safe enough. So safe, he was even bold enough to challenge them. "Who will wed me, then? Come on. Find me a maid to go back up the mountain with me, to live as a woodcutter's wife." Of course they were unable to think of a soul who would leave the comfort and company of the town to share Stig's bare little hut up on the lonely mountainside. And so Stig would escape back home, whistling and singing, so relieved and happy to be alone that he'd even made up a song about it, which he sang every day on the way home from his work. "High on Windy Mountain, Stig lives a simple life. He has but a bed, a roof over his head, and a hearth unencumbered by wife." Whatever Stig felt, he told it in song, all the day long, whether he was alone in his hut or out on the mountainside. Every fine day his rich, warm voice would carry over the wind, and down in Clack they could hear him coming for miles. And in the winter, when the snows came, smothering the mountain and shutting Stig indoors, he'd sit by his hearth, still singing away, making simple wooden carvings of his wild friends to trade down below. As he finished them, he'd place them against the walls of the hut, until those walls were fairly crowded with squirrels, woodchucks, sparrows, blue jays, rabbits, and his night friends, raccoons and owls. And what wonderful carvings they were!